Mr. Daniel
Okay.
Page.
Is it live? And make sure you can see all of us.
Yep, here we go. Hold on.
I got a recording there. I'm going to try that theory. If not, we have this one up here.
Barely can see you.
School time.
I know. Well, because I'm not really looking at this one. It's more so this one.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah. You get it?
Yeah, it should be on now. Yep, there we go.
Okay. All right. Well, there you go. So you're going to have to monitor it. So you're good on that?
Oh, great.
Yeah. So
Everybody's screwed.
all right. Well, today we got Mr. Mike Langley here. Great agent. You got two agents in here. They actually used to work together, both at different companies now. So, well, Mike, go ahead and introduce yourself, man.
Yeah, hi guys. Mike Langley, principal broker and owner of the newest Caldwell Banker commercial franchise in Nashville. I had a mega agent office with Keller Williams up here in Clarksville. And in about October, we opened up the new office in Nashville. So.
Sweet. Scoot a little bit closer so you're like talking. Yeah.
There we go.
There you
October,
go.
really? It's been that long?
October 1 is when we opened.
Dang.
Yeah.
I know. Waiting for you to pull the trigger. So, so you know, we don't really. I mean, we come on here sometimes with things to talk about, but a lot of times, man, we just kind of wing it because typically when you wing it, you start getting some deep conversations.
Well, yeah, it's meaningful at that point. It's not
Yeah.
scripted.
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously, well, since you're the Nashville agent here, talk about Nashville, man. How big of a difference is it from here in Clarksville?
Oh, I'm still in Clarksville.
Well, I know
I've
you're
got
in
agents-
Clarksville.
I've got agents in Clarksville and I've got agents in Nashville. And we also have agents in Franklin and Williamson County. So we
Gotcha.
cover our office pretty much covers the 65 corridor. We got it. So,
Yeah. Okay.
but the Nashville market is obviously a little bit different than the Clarksville market.
Yeah.
So
Just a little.
it's a little
Just
bit.
a little bit. Just a little bit.
Price point's a little higher down there, a little more competitive as far as agent count, and I think there's like 15,000 agents.
I was about to say, I was like, what is the agent count down
I believe it's over 50. Well, if you take all the associations, so you've got Greater Nashville Association of Realtors, then you got the Williamson County, and every single little pocket has got their own association.
Well,
15,000.
You know what's funny?
Which I had to pay all my dues, for all my associations.
Jesus.
So he's broke. He's broke.
Yeah,
Okay.
pretty much. Because in order to have an agent in that association, as me as the broker owner, I've got to be
You got to be.
a member of it. So I am a member of Clarksville, Greater Nashville, Williamson County, and then also Bowling Green as well, because I have my license in Kentucky.
That's right.
So yeah, because it was funny you talk about higher price point, man. I saw you posted that you had like a new construction in Nashville that started at like I think it was like
It was like three
Yeah.
and a half?
3.6
3.6.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was like,
Yep.
this Yahoo. I was like, dude. I was like, okay, 3.6. So let me go through my database and let me see who let me see who I can try to pitch this to. And I was like,
Who do I know that can afford this? Nobody.
I was like,
Nobody.
okay.
Well, it's a new listing. We're breaking ground on it here. I think demo on the lot started 3 weeks ago.
Nice.
How many square feet is that house going to be?
6,000 square feet.
Oh, good.
And
Okay.
it's on a 1 acre lot in Brentwood.
Wow.
So it's
That's pretty
yeah
awesome.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a great
Wow.
piece of
And
property.
that 1 acre probably takes up $2 million of that whole thing.
Uh,
I'm joking, man.
no,
No, I'm
pretty
joking.
close. It's about $1 million an acre in that neighborhood.
Dude, that is sick.
So
that
that's
is
where
so
the lot
sick.
cost on it.
But 6,000 square feet for a 3,000 or a 300 or $3 million house, it's really not that bad. Like, it's a lot. Like, don't get
right.
me wrong, but I was like,
Yeah, and it's a full. We're building it as a spec, but it's a full custom home. Like,
Gotcha.
Right,
it's
right.
marble. It's got 2-story, great room. It's
Yeah.
got every.
it's got built-in rich mahogany
Listen,
Yeah.
bookcases.
there's a
leather-bound books built in. We pipe that in of leather-bound books. So, the key selling point to that house for me is it's got a built-in dog wash station.
Oh, that's freaking cool.
So you come out of your garage, boom, right there. It's
That's- you know what?
specifically set up for dog washes.
that would be
Or-
great for homes here. Seriously. I mean, honestly, as many pet owners as there are with dog owners.
Well, that's what we're trying to do. The addition I have drawn out for our house.
Yeah.
that I want to do.
Because like who was it?
Is that.
Hawkins. Hawkins did the whole little doggy thing underneath the stairs.
Yep. Now like half
And
the people are doing it.
everybody does it, right? Yeah.
I tell all the clients it's their timeout spot.
Yeah. Listen, my parents have one, and I try to fit under there, and it looked like a busted can of biscuits coming out of that thing, man. It wasn't pretty, man. I was like, whoa. I've seen some bigger ones. My parents got like, I guess, a smaller one. I was like, it's a horrible idea. Horrible idea. But
Well, talk about listings. I got another one that we just put up. It's an NOOSTR, and the acronym stands for non-owner occupied short-term rental, which that is the hot product in Nashville, right?
Okay.
Is that's an Airbnb,
Sure.
right? It's you're able to rent it out as a short-term rental, and you don't have to live there as a primary occupancy.
Are you guys seeing a lot more short-term rentals coming up right now, or Airbnbs? Is the market kind of still stable with that over there?
Well, it's actually gone through the roof because Metro Nashville has kind of put a kind of damper on approving new projects for that to kind of help counteract the shortage of primary residents, because
Interesting.
investors are coming in and buying all these properties and turning them into Airbnbs, which takes the inventory completely off the market forever. Because it never comes back in the normal 3 to 5 year cycle, like a
Yeah, I was about to say it totally ruins your entire
Yeah.
your entire market cycle at that point.
Yeah. So Metro's gone down, kind of like decided to be like, hey, we're kind of really limited on what's getting approved. So anyone that have been approved, that are already approved and zoned for that, their
Right.
value has gone through the roof.
Yeah.
We've got one project we're working on right now. It's supposed to be delivered in a couple weeks. Well, actually, it's already done. It's completed, but we're waiting on the final approval from Metro for the NOOSTR zoning. And at the beginning of the project, we have countless emails from Metro saying, hey, yeah, it's approved. And now they're like, well, maybe.
Yeah, where's the documentation?
But we have it in email. So,
Oh, okay.
but we don't have the official like stamp permit. And
Right.
just kind of run the numbers on it. Each unit is worth about 800. It's a 6-unit build. Each unit's worth about 750,000 per unit with that OSDR. If that doesn't get approved, the residential value is about 500.
Wow.
So it's about a let's see what $1.5 million loss in value just by that one zoning difference.
Wow.
So
Wow.
Talk about highest and best use. Good Lord.
yeah. So that
Gotcha.
so you're seeing a lot of that in Nashville, and also you've seen a lot of Airbnb and short-term rentals popping up in Clarksville as well too.
Yeah.
It's a great market for it because there's a constant need for that with the military coming in.
Yeah.
They say any 30 days. I mean, think about Adam 2 years ago when we were doing new construction in Clarksville. We would have killed to have short-term rentals to throw our clients in.
So
for 30
yeah,
days.
no, for
We
real.
didn't have it.
Yeah, for real. There was nothing.
Yeah.
Literally nothing.
Right.
There wasn't even hotel rooms half the time. Yeah, no, you're correct about that.
Yeah.
And we yeah. Well, you used to play with. Well, I mean, you still do with a lot of the different investors here too, and that's always been a conversation of like, what's a better investment? Do I buy it to rent it as a long term? Do I buy it to rent it as a short term? Do I do I would say a year and a half ago, if you could do the short term thing, you were going to make out very well.
Yeah.
Right. But I mean, in retrospect, I mean, we talked about it earlier or last year about I mean, Airbnb. I mean, kind of like everything. It's like area specific because I mean, there's still plenty of people who like I've seen some people, man.
Not every property is going to be good
Correct.
for a short-term rental.
Exactly. And I think because, we keyed in on that because there's some people, I think a lot has to do with like social media, like TikTok. Hey, you can buy this, you can do this. Then people get it in their head without doing any kind of research but then it's just like, hey, I'm going to go buy this house, just because it's cheap. And I'm going to do Airbnb. And then they look at it and they're like, okay, it's not renting out. I wonder why. Oh, because you bought this home and it's on the second dangerous, street in the city or whatever, right? So, and again, we just talked about the location.
That actually sometimes can be beneficial on the STRs because people that are renting that don't really look into that stuff. They don't do that kind of research on it.
Right.
So that honestly, sometimes that's a kind of a lean towards the STR if it's not in a affluent community or whatever, because
so
they're
so
there for 3 days. They're gonna come in there. No, I've used Airbnb almost probably every time I go on vacation.
Okay.
Right, is usually Airbnb through Gatlinburg, Florida, New York. Very rarely do we stay in hotels anymore. We did this last one, but just because we wanted to be in Times Square and there's no Airbnbs in Times Square.
Yeah.
'Cause New York's done the same thing that Nashville's done. They're like,
Yeah,
they
yeah.
canceled STRs.
Yeah.
Well, the overall problem though with everybody doing the Airbnb thing, the issue was, I'll say the issue was this is, and I cautioned a lot of people. We're talking a year and a half ago when this whole thing was like a big, I don't want to say a fad, but it was booming, right?
It was bad.
That a lot of these guys were trying to buy houses. They wanted me to put offers on houses on prices. I'm like, guys, that's not going to cash flow as a normal rental. And if you can't do your math, if it doesn't math out at a normal rental pace, I caution you on it because at some point the faucet gets turned off. And then you're going to be upside down, and then you can't rent it for nothing. Then you're going to have to pay money to float it, and that's where a lot of guys run into it now. That I've run into that they bought these projects or they bought these houses that were ready to go. We're doing the Airbnbs with them or short-term rentals, either one, right? And now that's kind of phased out because of the whole interest rate thing last year, where people were just staying where they were.
Yep.
Right.
They're not making as much out of them because now the rental market's going down.
Yeah.
It started to drop to where now they're $300 low on what they need on their monthlies just to float. And then they complain about it. I'm like, I freaking told you this when you bought it, that if it doesn't math as a normal renter, it's not going to stay this way forever.
Right. Well, that's why me and Mike have a client, Jake, and the first property he was looking at, I told him, I was like, I mean, versus what they pay for rent versus what you're going to buy this for, and it's not a short term. I mean, these are talking about long term, but it's just investors in general. It's just you had to have those conversations. Like, yo, dude, like it's really tough to make money, and it's just because the rates were where they're at.
Yeah,
and you just got to look at the equity that you gain.
But that's where I was going to go with it too, is the
two ways
equity.
to look at your
Exactly.
investment. There's an asset return and then there's a capital return.
Yeah.
And we talked about this when you were kind of chiming in last week when you were texting through it as the same exact conversation of if that's the strategy, then I'm down with you. I just need to understand what your strategy is before we get into it.
Unfortunately, a lot of people don't even know what their strategy is because they're first time investors. That's what we as real estate agents should have a strategy for that. And if you don't, please pass them on to somebody who does.
Yes.
Take the referral, pass them off to an agent that you know in your network that understands what a pro forma is, understands what a cap rate is, ROI, IR, all those acronyms.
All these acronyms.
They all mean things. They all mean money. Right? So,
They all have a dollar mark, and it needs to meet. And then a lot of times, like he's saying too, with the new investors, like you don't even know what you're wanting. You watched a YouTube video, or you went to some weird seminar, or your friend and I get it, and I'm not knocking any of that. I'm really not. I'm proud of you for at least stepping into the zone and trying to figure something out.
Yeah.
But then we need to sit down. We need to have a few conversations of looking at a couple different routes of travel. Because that one way that your friend's doing it or that seminar it could be a great way, but it may not work exactly what you want it to work for you.
Correct. Yeah, because I think a lot of those seminars are pretty much surface level, very entry level stuff for the most part. It's the same thing when people talk about, like if somebody asks you, hey, what's it like to do real estate? Right? Like, I mean, obviously you could go on days,
on fire,
right?
Everything's on fire. Everything's
right. Yeah. And then like Attic would say, yeah, like, dude, I just turned 22 yesterday, but this is what real estate did to me, and it's just like, but no, like I think a lot of people get and again, it goes back to social media where it's the surface level stuff. Everything's very surface level.
Well, a lot of the stuff online is, spend $9.99 on this, course.
Yeah.
Teach you how to make millions. And it's like,
I can make you millions by an investor if you pay $9.99 a month.
Yeah. Right.
Plus tax.
And so there's a lot of that out there, and there's a lot of models that you absolutely that work that staying on the STR stuff. There's the the arbitrage model where you go lease a property from somebody, do a master lease on it, and in your lease agreement you get to use it as an STR. So you don't even have to own the asset on it. Yeah. So and that's the numbers have really, really got to work on that because you don't own anything at that point.
Yeah,
I was about to say, I was like,
every month that say you rent it for $1,500, you've got to be really, really good on your Airbnb numbers to make sure that you're getting your 60% occupancy rate goal, and that's what a goal is on STR is 60%.
Right.
To really make the numbers work on it. So.
Yeah. Well, so obviously things always change in our industry and the whole thing, but I think today, I think we can kind of brush up on, just reminders and kind of give people the idea of like, again, not necessarily like a market refresh, but essentially like, hey, if you're ever like if you've thought about buying, or maybe you need some credit help, or just whatever in general, right? Like the paths to get to home ownership, because obviously the mountain just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And I mean, at this point, I think you got to get a little creative with some people.
Yeah. We have to be creative right now. That's exactly the market we're in, is the creative market. We're not in the market of, hey, this is a house for sale. This is what they want for it. And this is all you can. This is what you have to offer on it. Like with interest rates the way they are, inflation the way it is, people are paying more at the grocery store, so that affects what they can afford monthly. Which a lot of times they don't. When you do a DTI, debt to income ratio, you don't factor in how much you're spending on groceries. Unfortunately,
well, that and then and it's kind of the same talk I have with a lot of people is your debt to income is calculated on your gross income. So I tell a lot of people, I'm like, yo, dude, like you may be making $4,000 a month. After you pay Uncle Sam, you may be at $3,000 a month. Like, are you going to be okay with this $2,000 mortgage? Even though the debt to income, we're good.
Yeah, just because that basic level calculation works doesn't mean it actually works, because
there's
you also have a family of 4 that you're now spending $1,000 a week on groceries.
And that's
weren't 2 years ago.
100%. And that's what we always saying too. I was like, there's a difference between reality math and paper math, right?
100%.
We need to look at reality math.
Yeah.
Because again, so what is the national average? Is like $700. It's still like $700 more a month.
I mean,
for your average spending budget than it was last year or whatever it was.
Because
I know ours is through the roof. Like we probably spend at least $1,500 to $2,200 a month on groceries.
Well, what I'm saying is it's up though. It's up. So I think because the first
total monthly budget.
Yeah,
so
you want to say I would expect nothing less for your grocery bill to go up as big as you are. Yes, you and me both. I eat a lot, but dude, I understand way more than him, but this dude is like, I guess.
Look, I'm just enjoying this.
He does bench more than me.
He squats more, so I mean, I guess it's a trade-off.
We don't want to talk about.
Look, all I'm saying is I'm not usually the smallest guy in the room ever, so I'm kind of enjoying this.
But no, that's true, man. Like, and we talked to a lot of people about it, and just like you always say, just like we all say, is the right time to buy is like what you like is like when you can afford it. Like your comfortability. Are you okay with the payment? Can you afford it? Cool.
Yeah,
right?
I texted on the last week's call.
Yeah.
Like, do you like the home?
Yep.
And can you afford the monthly payments?
And that's it.
If you can say yes to those 2 questions, buy the house.
Yeah. And if not, then it's okay.
Then it's okay. Then we'll find you something else that you're gonna. But a lot of people's expectations of what they want and what they can afford are completely are a lot different right now.
Yeah.
Because the increase in value and the increase in interest rates.
Well, it's the concept too of like what's a starter home anymore, right? And I say this all the time: a $475,000 home is not a starter home. I got news for you.
Well, in some areas it is, because that's the median price.
Exactly.
That's true.
But even here, like the average income in Clarksville, I would imagine is like
56.
60. Yeah,
I think it's
56, 60K, right? But again, even
it has been that for a long time.
It
has not increased.
Correct. And again, that's where you're starting to see the stunt in home growth or home ownership, because again, the income wages are just they're still lacking, and it's at this point, and that's why I say we had to go get creative, and it's really going to be geared towards like the younger, people that maybe again single, don't really have anything going on, maybe they live with roommates now. Dude, buy you a house, go in 50-50 with somebody, or buy it and rent out your rooms. Dude, freaking
house hacking. A lot of people are house hacking right now. They're buying, and they're a couple. And they've got one small child, or they got no children, and they're a professional couple, and they're buying the home, and then they're renting out their rooms to cover the rest of it.
Yeah, dude. I had a lady, she was in Washington, and she was moving here. She had 2 rentals. She was renting each room for $1,200 a pop.
Yeah.
And she bought when the rates were in the 2s. So her mortgage payment was only like $1,400 and $1,200 per room. She had a 4-bedroom and a 5-bedroom house. Girl was rolling. I was like, nice. Yeah. I was like, that, and she had a lease for each freaking room.
That goes with expectations, right?
Yeah.
So you have to be creative. You also have to realize that you're not going to get what you want today. And that's
Oh, yeah.
society, unfortunately, that's the society we live in.
Yep.
Right. It's instant gratification through stuff with social media and everything that
Yeah.
we've got. It's like, I want it and I want it now and I deserve it and I have a right to it. You don't have a right to anything.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Other than, being treated fairly and no matter who you are. That's the only right you have in this country, I think. But you have to be smart with it and be like, okay, what do I want? This is my goal. I want that $475,000, $500,000 house. Right. Well, just like in your career, just like in life, you got to step somewhere. You got to take that first step. Right.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
Unless you come from a family that that is wealthy enough to give you a down payment.
Yep.
Well, then there's your path, right? You're privileged in that your family can help you, and that's not the case in a lot of people's world. So, all right, lower your expectations.
Right. And that's exactly
Start
what I mean
somewhere.
by
Just start somewhere. Go buy a townhouse. Right.
Well, and that's exactly
You're
what I
still
mean
gonna
by
build equity in it.
the first time home, your first home thing. That's the whole conversation, right? Like I always say, Fisher Price, my first home, right? And I mean that as a joke, but seriously at the same time, it's not about is it everything I could ever imagine? No, and you're not going to be there for more than like 5 years anyway. I was like, so let's just pump the brakes for 5 minutes. Again, as crude as it sounds, does it have 4 walls and a roof and you can poop in it? Then it's good. Like you're okay. Is it in a good location? As good as in? Do you want to be there? Does it meet those qualifications for you? Whatever it is, whether that's work or
You're
school
still doing
or
better than majority of
exactly.
of
I was like,
society.
but it's an investment. It's all about it. The key word is investment, people. You're investing into yourself. You have to understand this because that's going to make you money later on. It's gonna make you money.
It's a long term investment. That's what a lot of people don't understand, and it's just like
It's not crypto, right? It's not.
it's definitely not crypto.
It's not
And-
that you buy it today, and then all of a sudden, this happened to a couple people that bought 2 years ago, right? And now they've got 100K in equity.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of that,
And those people that were like, I'm going to wait till the market slows down. Well, the market slowed down, but guess what happened? The rates went through the roof. So
and like I said, and that's going to be the vicious path. The market always changes.
It's going to always do that.
real
Though.
estate is cyclic, right? It's a circle. It always comes back.
Always.
It's never linear. Right?
Same vicious cycle. It's just
you cannot. If
You can't get the best-
time. If you believe me, and let me know if anybody out there that knows how to time the market. Let me know because if you do know that, please give me that information. So we
Yeah.
can
Can
make
you let me
billions-
know, please?
We can make billions of dollars. on
yeah,
that.
yeah. I mean, but it's the same people that want all their closing costs paid for and everything under the sun. All the upgrades, and I want a 3% interest rate. And I'm like, again, it's just not realistic. What is that?
2024 reappraisal option. Valerie Linares is discussing the 2024 reappraisal option.
Reappraisal option?
Yeah, I'm not really sure what.
I don't think I've ever heard of that one yet.
Reappraisal option.
Is that
They don't. I mean,
verification of value or
that-
value? What's it called?
reconsideration. of value?
There you go. That's the word.
Reconsideration of value.
That's what I think she's saying.
Maybe. Yeah, you can ask her. Val, I don't know what you mean.
I was like, maybe you guys. I was like, I'm not really
Clarify.
sure exactly.
But no, I think it's like the first podcast. We were talking about. I made the analogy. It's like your first car, like your high school car or whatever.
Yeah.
It's not your dream car.
No.
It's not. It's
It was
not.
a 1979 Toyota Celica,
That's my dream car.
I like it. I like it.
yellow with a 5-speed. Right? And mind you, when I was 16, I was already 6'6".
I was about to say, I was like, no, that's all I was imagining right now. Is
Yeah, I don't
this
know what you're
guy
talking about,
getting
dude.
out of that car. I was
This
like,
dude was 3 years old and already 4'5".
Paid $150 for it that I paid for myself.
Nice.
Nice.
The old song Adam Sandler, My Piece of Crime.
Yeah.
That was it. 100%. Rag for a gas cap. It was horrendous. I mean, but you know what? I drove the wheels off that car. Literally, one of the wheels fell off one time. And
Just like the song.
I didn't care because it got me. It was mobile, right? I was mobile. I was 16. I didn't care. I was like, it was beat up.
Yeah.
The driver's door literally fell off one day going to school. Like the whole door fell off. I just stopped, picked it up, put it in the trunk. At the time I was in the auto shop. We got home, or we got to the school in the auto shop, and I welded both doors shut. And so from then on in, I had to climb out of that thing like Dukes of Hazzard. So,
But no, I mean, but see, there you go, right?
Yeah.
Like compared to what you drive now, it didn't happen overnight. It wasn't your first car, and it's just like that you kind of have to think of it the same way.
With a
you know?
house, yeah, exactly. Except for
It's-
the difference is you have a lot more invested into your
Yep.
house.
Yeah,
but
and
you
what-
also have there's a lot more to home ownership too that goes into it. And
Yeah.
I think you guys touched on it last week. Not everybody is fit for home ownership,
Oh, 1,000%.
right? And so we need to know that, and then because as realtors or real estate agents, you need to look at that as well too. Like if you're looking at if you're truly doing a buyer consultation with somebody,
Yeah.
right, and their credit is just at the bare minimum to qualify, and you talk to their loan officer, and it's not really because a lot of things happen in life that will slam your credit score, like medical bills, laid off from a job. But if you could, because you can look at that credit, if it's just a constant pattern of just not paying bills, and stuff like that, and it's like a bunch of little stuff, like a collection from a cell phone bill, little stuff like that. That shows that buyer is not really financially mature enough, possibly, to take on that house, because you have to upkeep it. You've got maintenance. That monthly payment is just the bare minimum you're going to spend on your house every single month. Right.
Exactly. Yeah.
So you need to make sure and kind of look at it like, hey, your monthly payment's $1,500, but let's make sure you can afford $1,700 in case the water heater pops, or
Right.
Yeah. Well,
then
then
you
like
have insurance for most of that stuff, but the upkeep, right?
yeah.
So when you go to sell that investment, it is actually worth more and not worth less because you let it
Yeah.
it deteriorate. basically.
Did you get an answer yet?
No, I was looking back. I keep reading it over again. I'm not really is discussing the 2024 reappraisal and option. I'm not
2024
Reappraisal.
reappraisal.
Yeah, let us comment on it. Let us know. We're not sure what that is actually.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm not really sure what you're asking.
So like moving forward, okay, obviously you're starting to see a lot of the homes, even like the starter homes, we want to call them, the new construction. I mean, we're like around 300,000, give or take, starting price. A lot of some of these new constructions 300,000, but the square footage, right? It's
Yeah,
just the square footage.
and for the starter home concept, just for a shameless plug for Clarksville itself, we actually have a lot of builders right now that are, and just existing listing, but there's a lot of builders right now that are building houses that are between like 350,
Yeah.
So it's in that affordable market,
Yeah.
Which is really nice to see, because that's something that we've been griping about for years now. Is like, can you build something new that's not $1 million? Like that would be fantastic.
Right.
You know what I mean? I was like, we would like something
Well,
I could sell to a normal person.
Again, there's the the basic view of that, and then there's the detailed view of that. What's caused the home prices to go up, right? So we've got a project that we're working on. It's about 224 single family homes.
Yeah.
Right. And we're doing the development costs on it. Right. Ductile iron has gone up for water mains, has gone up like 30% in the last 6 months.
Yeah.
Right. So if you're below 20 feet on your water main, you've got to put in ductile iron, and that's 30% a foot is going up.
Wow.
And so that causes the development, the horizontal.
Right.
Well, that's what you call horizontal when you're doing a development for the guys on there. So you've got your land, you've got your horizontal development, that's putting in your sewer system, utilities, and all that stuff. And then you've got your vertical, that's actually building the home.
Right.
Well, the horizontal development costs have gone through the roof lately.
Yeah.
And so before you can even put a house on that piece of dirt, you're looking at $60,000 to $70,000 of a pad price.
So you basically just doubled your initial lot cost, if you will. for
Yeah,
example.
basically, right.
Yeah.
And so in order you can't roll $70,000 worth of dirt price into a $300,000 house, because build costs in Clarksville are roughly 120. Depending on if you're doing just your standard kind of builder grade nice finishes, not like linoleum and
Yeah.
what we normally see in Clarksville. That's about anywhere from 120 to 125 a square foot.
Yeah.
So you do an 1,800 square foot house, that's like $250K of vertical costs, and then you add $60K of horizontal costs. Well, now you're at 310 before you even you're breaking even at 310.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
understood.
understood. Yeah.
Do that, and that's what I think a lot of builders have been seeing it in this area is, okay, yeah, we can do that and we can sell them quicker, right?
Yeah.
We're not making the 20% margins like we can on the bigger homes, but we can make
A little bit more
10
volume.
or 12 over
Right.
scale, and that's why 224 homes, 10 to 15% of 65 million is a heck of a lot better than 20% of 3 million.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
But it's
But you have to be able to do it on a bigger scale. That's the
yeah,
whole
it's just
concept.
like,
Yeah.
it's a lot more, it's $65 million worth of holding costs
Yeah.
over the next 5 years that you're going to pay out before you get the 8.5 million.
No, understood completely. And every time we talk to buyers that are kind of asking the same kind of like, why does it cost so much? And it's not to say that people can't understand, but it's just trying to make it a little bit easier to chew when you explain it to them. But it's literally that. I was like, they're not making like the builders aren't out here making like just rolling in dough buku bucks when they sell a house. Like it's not like it's
cutting hairs.
they're getting pretty close on things.
And there for a while in 2020 area, builders were losing money on homes.
I was about to say, I was like, yeah, because you'd price one out, especially on just your general pre-sold, right? Like you'd price one out today, and by the time it's done, even 6-8 months down the road, like that sucker probably went up 80 grand.
Yeah.
By the time, and you were at a contract price
And
back
your
here,
framing
so.
package quadrupled.
Well, I'm about to say, I was like, I remember that, and then what was it? So after that, after the frame package, then it went to the
Siding. And then it went
the
to
siding, then it went to electrical, and then it was your plastics like PEX and stuff like that. That was like
PVC.
quadruple
Yeah,
the
everything,
price,
yeah.
man.
Yeah.
And so everybody's like, "Why does it cost so much?" Well, the lumber prices went down. Yeah, but the lumber prices went down, but then the electrical went up. It's
Right.
always a trade off, guys. It's
Yeah.
like your gas prices and groceries. If you ever really pay attention, if your gas prices go down, your grocery bill goes up. If your grocery bill goes down, your gas prices are going up. It's never like, oh, cost of living is getting smaller or less. It's literally a trade off, one for the other kind of thing.
Well, you bring about a point. Like, the hot topic for right now is, inflation.
Yeah.
Right? And like
Yep,
everything,
100%.
they're going to say, hey, prices are, we need to get back to the Fed wants us to get to, a 2% inflation rate, right?
Not 2% interest.
Not
rate.
interest rate, inflation.
Yeah, a lot of people don't understand that because like there was an article that says, hey, the Fed should be at a 4% by the end of 2024, and I'm like, that is not interest rates, guys. Like that is their goal. Like yes,
For inflation, right?
yes,
So,
yes.
well, a 2% inflation rate still means everything increases 2% every year.
Yeah.
So even if we stop increasing prices today at $9 a gallon of milk, I'm just using that as an example. It's not $9. It's getting
I bet you in Alaska it is.
in Hawaii it is. In Hawaii it is guaranteed. It was $9 when I lived there in 2012.
Yeah, no kidding.
It's probably like $20 a gallon there now.
Goat's
But anyways,
milk?
say $5 a gallon of milk here right now.
Yeah.
Right. Even if we get this wonderful soft landing and deflation that they want, back down to 2%. Well, next year that $5 gallon of milk is still going to be $5 plus 2%.
Yeah.
So
Well, and
stuff's going to continue to get more expensive, and then we have the income raising.
Yeah.
That's going around, which is great. We need that.
we
absolutely need
1,000% need that.
But if you're going to pay more, you're going to make more. It's all relative. It's all works
Yes.
together,
Yeah.
right? So
But we talked about it. It was a few podcasts ago, where we talk about the people who complain about the house pricings. You're overpaying for these homes. All these people you're inflating the market. It's too much for us. We can't buy it. But it's just like Adam brings up a good point. Okay, well, if houses weren't supposed to increase and we were supposed to be the same,
right.
we'd still be paying $60,000 for a house or $50,000 for
We'd still be paying
whatever.
1920s prices, like I tell everybody.
Yeah,
was
I mean,
that's-
like
it's a
your
stupid
truck out
statement.
there,
Yeah,
your truck
what
out there,
happened
my
after the
truck.
1920s.
Yep. Crickets.
Called the Great Depression.
So
Let's go back to the 20s. That's really great.
but it's the same thing though, and everything's going to keep increasing, and people are still going to buy. Just like again, going back to vehicles, right? Vehicles, even the newer diesels, the newer SUVs, and all that. Each year, each model just keeps gradually getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. But at the end of the day, guess what? They're still freaking selling. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
You just got to be intentional with what your purpose is. Right?
Yeah.
If your purpose is you want to own a home,
Yeah.
well, you're going to have to sacrifice
That's
right now
literally what I was about to go into.
something else in
Yeah.
your life in order to make that
Yeah.
happen.
It's like
and if
we
you're not
s-
willing to, then your home ownership goal was not that important to you.
Exactly.
Yep.
I was like, and it's the biggest thing we always say is like, so stop going to Starbucks, every week or every day to get a $6
Well,
coffee.
I mean, I hear that analogy. Like the boomers always say, don't pay $8 for a coffee.
Well, it's the principal concept, right?
Yeah,
like that's
like
the thing.
it-
I was
Well,
like, so for me, I don't need to go buy 10 guns a week. Like that's not a thing. If I
But
wanna go
okay,
buy
but it's
it,
like the eating out, right? So people love to eat out, which is fine. I don't necessarily say that you need to cut it completely, but I know a ton of people who do Like
Well, certain areas though, it's actually cheaper to eat out than it is to buy groceries.
well,
Yes.
Depending on your family and stuff like that. Like,
yeah, well,
think about going into the grocery store right now and spending $200. You maybe get like 3 meals for
listen,
it.
you can go to Aldi's. I wish they would put Aldi's out in Sango. I don't want to go all the way to Fort Campbell Boulevard to go shop there, but I would definitely, I would be inclined to
This place
shop
where
at
you can
Aldi.
put like the quarter in the
Yes.
cart. I've never
Yes.
been to one.
Dude, it is pimp. They got stuff. It is off brand as crap, but apparently, man, it's like instead of like Fruit Loops, it's like Fruit Circles or something like that.
Fruity-O's.
Yeah, Fruity-O's, something like that, man.
I guess that's where I'm kind of detached. Like as soon as once COVID hit, we started ordering online
Well,
and an Instacarting.
Well,
I don't think I've been in a grocery store in like.
well, Carmen, we do pick up. I don't grocery shop anymore. Carmen does pick up, or she bought this Walmart delivery where it's like $50.
$99 a year free delivery.
Yeah, she got hers 50. So it was 50, dude. Yes,
No, I mean you tip your driver and stuff like that.
Right,
Yeah.
right,
So,
but-
so
but it's
not
convenient.
absolutely free.
It's convenient. Yeah.
No, my wife and she just goes on her phone.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden, like 3 hours later, there's groceries on the front door.
Yeah, I kid you not. Like I got a grocery delivery today between 4 and 5.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I don't know. I'm old school. I like to go to Walmart and people watch. So that's just me.
Oh God, I know. We went into Walmart for like Christmas Eve.
Okay, well that's mistake number 1.
Well, yeah, and I
think we do more
we walked
Publix.
in there. There was one gift that one of our boys wanted. That was the only place that had it. Right? I was like, okay, well, I pull into the parking lot. I'm already getting anxiety. I'm just like, somebody's gonna hit my car. Like. We roll into Walmart and it is just a madhouse in there, right? I mean, wall to wall people, and I swear,
Yep.
it was like I walked into a Bob Marley concert, and I was like, okay, all right, well, let me get this one like $8 item that I had to go in there for.
I'm just going to get this and get out of here now.
We actually didn't even do it. Actually, I take it back. We didn't even buy it because we went to go get in line, and the line was like queued up, like 40 people. I'm like, no, you're
just gonna go ahead and-
you're not getting this for Christmas.
Just going to go ahead and give you an IOU in Amazon this later.
It'll be here on the 27th.
Yeah, see, I saw someone make a funny video where they had like a PS5 and they put like like a hot dog packet underneath, like taped it. So when he scanned it at self checkout, I rang up the hot dogs instead of the PS5. He just bloop, bloop, and just walked out.
$9 for PS5. Yeah.
But honestly, side
That's
note,
called stealing.
Oh,
Just for
oh,
anybody's
1000%.
We don't
information.
condone that here. Caldwell, Boris, Harvey, or Council Rock do not condone.
yeah, 1000%.
I was like, that's straight up theft.
But no, I mean, back on the topic of like,
Sacrifice.
yeah, like it kind of goes back to like I said, like, the rights and stuff, like people in this, like, well, it's a right for home ownership.
Right.
It is and it's not. So, for me, I'm not going to get into political views or anything like that. But yeah, I think
Right.
everybody should have the ability
Yeah.
to own a home. Right.
I agree.
And I think our government should do more on giving programs to make that happen because of what's happening with the price of homes and stuff like that. We're coming up on an election year this year, and
Well, and I don't want to cut you off and you can continue, but the side note to that is a lot of people don't understand why this year is going to be kind of like
It's gonna be
in
crazy.
theory, it should be a little chaotic because of the election year.
Yeah,
a lot of people don't, we jokingly say that, but in all actuality, if you go back and you look at history, these are always the wild, wild west of the years, man. Things start to change, and it's not it's a drastic change when they do it, and it's just all to promote my campaign. Like let me try to win you over. So, but yeah, go ahead.
But yeah, well, I was saying, like, there should be, I believe there should be a lot more government programs out there for down payment assistance and stuff like that should be funded just kind of, we have the THDA, but it has limited funding, it runs out, right? That should just be an open program,
Yeah.
right? Because it's going to better all of us, of society.
Yeah.
If more people own homes, more people are going to get into a position of generational wealth, because the number one way to generational wealth is home ownership.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
You buy a home, even if you never step out of that home, right? You just live in it for your whole life, and then you pass that on to your children. Well,
Yeah.
now they own a home. Now they own an asset, and so it is a way out of poverty. That's a way out of lack of education. There's so many benefits to owning a home.
Yeah.
Right.
That we as a society would benefit if we had more home ownership.
Right,
Like, look at neighborhoods. Like, if you look at a neighborhood that is predominantly a home ownership neighborhood,
Right.
the neighborhood is clean, it is well taken care
Yep.
of, people take care of their stuff, right? The neighborhood
Versus
is
a
good,
rental area.
right? You go to one that's mostly a rental.
Mm-hmm.
There's couches in the front yard. There's
Yeah.
because it's not theirs, they don't care for it that
Yeah.
well. So,
But
it's just
again-
a benefit for society if more people own
Right, but then it goes back to the sacrifice point, man. Because me personally, I probably see more people invested into, like the new iPhones. Like, hey, I'm going to do I'm going to do the iPhone, or hey, I'm going to go out and buy maybe not a complete beater, not something that's a decently used car, but I'm going to go buy something flashy. But then yet they still rent, right?
But it goes back to, well, like we've said 100 times. He already said it earlier.
Yeah.
It's the instant gratification. It's a status thing.
yeah. Oh,
That's what it is because they may have $1,200 or whatever it costs for a phone right
Right.
today, and they're like, you know what, they just feel like buying something or whatever. They just want the money's burning a hole in their pocket or whatever it might be, versus keeping it and staying on that course for the next 6 months or whatever it's going to take to be able to buy this house. They're like, nah, I'll just go get this now and I'll deal with that later. But the later never comes.
Yeah.
No,
Well, and it's like one of those things, like if you can just implement in your head, if I can just give up all this for even just do it for 1 year, even 1 year, and just to see. And you know what? By the end of that year, if you're like, okay, I'm not happy, I want my car back, I want to go back to this, then go back to it. But I think people just don't even want to give up
Well, I
the
think-
lifestyle and
Yeah.
and
it's-
the social
Again,
status.
I think, like we said, because there's always like the initial view of everything. And then when you
Yeah.
really start diving into the details of stuff, and this is what I really like to do is like, I analyze an issue and like, because there's so much stuff in like, fake news and stuff like that. That's out
Yeah,
right
yeah.
now about stuff. It's like, well, this is the reason they're doing that. But when you really dive into it, there's a lot more stuff to it. Like
Yeah.
the reason why our society is the way it is financially is you have to look all the way back to our educational system.
Yeah.
We're not teaching financial
Oh,
literacy.
they want you to be in debt, like credit
Yeah.
card debt and stuff, because that
and-
gives a constant revenue stream back to the state is what it's doing. And yeah, we've had this conversation 1,000 times.
Like, there should be classes in high school because I come from very poor backgrounds.
Mm-hmm.
Like we were government cheese, we were on government assistance, food stamps and everything like that. That's how I grew up. So there was no financial literacy
Right.
that talked to my family. So I didn't know how to spend money. I didn't know that money was something that you could go generate. I thought it was just something you earned.
Yeah.
Right. For doing
Well, even
a
into
job.
you and I both adult life, right? Not to like get too far off track of this, but let's think about yours and I military past, right?
Mm-hmm.
We deploy, we come back, we blow a bunch of money, we get in debt, we go
Yep.
right back overseas, like I'm going to
Pay it
pay it
all
off, and then I'm going to go back, and as soon as I get
4
home,
years.
I was like,
For
and
a
that
year,
was
I
that was the cycle.
falling out of control for a year.
Exactly.
Corvettes, boats, motorcycles, trips to Vegas, Mexico, and then I'd get on the plane like with like $6 in my pocket.
Yes.
Like, all right, I need to go back to Iraq.
Yeah, you're like, no, I'm freaking broke. But that goes right back to it, and it's even like, I've had this conversation with a bunch of people too about like with debt in general, right? So
Yeah.
I made my wife and I, we sat down, and was like, we want to be debt free,
Yeah.
right? So
that's one of my goals. For 2024.
dude, we struggle bus and struggle bus and struggle bus when I retired, and once we got into this, and we really, really, really buckled down, and we got everything paid off, minus our house. We have everything paid off. But I also bought a house that I wanted to make sure my retirement paid for, so that way that check is guaranteed, like it's fine.
Yeah.
But not having $1 million worth of credit card debt,
Right.
The amount of breathing room you get from that, dude, I can't even begin to explain to people. I'm not rolling in dough because I make all this crazy money. I have money to go take my wife out or buy something nice because I don't have bills.
But again, but it was a sacrifice for how long? About a year and a half?
Almost 3 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
Okay.
Again, you
Yeah.
just kind of keep diving more in the details. Like we'll go back to the education. Like we're not teaching this stuff
Yeah.
early because not every family comes from money. Not every money understands.
Yeah.
Every family understands money. So
Yeah.
if we can,
We're all poor growing up.
Yeah,
I mean, every one of
exactly.
us was poor
Right.
growing up.
So, if we could start early on financial literacy, that's like
Yeah.
my son, my boy right now, like he knows what the stock market is. He knows
Nice.
what ROI means. He watches, he like when we go to the gym, he's like, hey, see Apple's down 4% today. Like, because I want him.
It's 3 a.m. What are you doing?
Go back to bed.
Yeah. But, it's just the fact that at 15, I want to make sure he has that like knowledge base. Of
Yeah.
Like, hey, the money you make more money with it, right?
Yeah.
It's not like how to use money to make money, right? And so if we go back to the education thing, like again, you just have to keep really diving into the details of it, right?
Yeah, yeah.
What drives good education?
Yeah.
Home prices, property taxes,
Yeah.
right? So if property taxes are low in your area, therefore your funding for your school is low.
Yeah.
Boom.
Therefore your education sucks.
Yeah.
So it's not always just stop buying a cup of coffee. You have
Yeah.
to some people don't buy a cup of coffee, buy Starbucks and are still in crappy position.
Well, yeah, no,
because of
like,
that situation.
Yeah.
So for me, I think it's just, I think you really kind of have to dive into like the lower level of the
Right,
details of
right,
it. Like,
right.
how can we fix this? Telling somebody to stop buying a Starbucks doesn't really fix it.
well,
But-
I'm not. So I don't think it's necessarily saying stop buying Starbucks, but I think it's more so the people that, and again, it goes back to like, dude, I have friends from high school that they still buy the newest Jordans, they still buy all the flashy stuff, man. But again, their job is, if that's what makes them happy, if they want to be at that level, then cool. Like I will never go to somebody and say, yo, dude, like you need to start looking at something, like you need to like figure out life.
Yeah.
Because I mean, there's some people like, dude, I've just seen people I went to high school with, and I'm like, I thought you would have maybe progressed by now,
But I think
right?
I think it might be a mental maturity point.
Yeah,
Does that-
yeah,
does
yeah,
that
and I
make
think it's-
sense?
It's a lot more than just, do you want to buy a house? Well, yeah, everybody wants to buy a house.
Yeah.
But like, are you ready to make the sacrifices to own a home?
Right.
It's
Probably
it's-
not. Maybe not at 25. Maybe you
Right.
want the new Jordans at 25, right?
Well, but so like I think the people that who
I love Jordans. I love lots of them. Yeah.
well, with your size like 17 foot,
14. Okay.
but
he
geez,
special
dude.
orders his.
I know, man.
Shaq orders his from. So.
Man, but like no, I agree. There's plenty of people out there, man, who make who like, let's just say makes even like, let's say we'll talk about a teacher salary, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Teacher salaries, honestly,
$5,000.
yeah, like 35, 40 grand. And it's just like, obviously,
underpaid.
yep, severely unpaid. But you understand that they love their job, because nobody signs up and says, hey, I want to take this job for this pay.
Yeah. No, please, if there's any teachers out there, you have my utmost respect.
Oh, 1,000%. Listen,
you-
I would strangle about
I would
90%.
I'd last 5 seconds. The
I was
school
like,
officers-
call the cops now because I'm going to jail.
Yeah.
So.
School officers come in and they're like, dang it, well, we can't take him down.
But-
We're going to tase him.
but no, like so like, we'll take that scenario. Let's just say they're making like 45K, 40 to 45K a year. Okay. Again, let's just say, hey, despite maybe student loans, that's in deferment. Cool. They have a credit card.
Another issue.
Yeah, the student loans.
Yeah.
Credit card. Maybe they have one credit card, and they have their car from high school, so it's completely paid off and all that. Okay. Even then, I would still understand, like, hey, like, just trying to get them on the path of home ownership. It is going to take. You can't have that conversation of, hey, just stop eating, stop going to Starbucks, because like that right there is not the driving. Like, that's not what's
No,
stopping.
yeah,
them.
I know what you're
Yeah,
saying.
yeah.
But what we
Yeah.
can do is, as kind of advisors, and that's what we all are. Right?
Yeah,
As
yeah.
a realtor, as a mortgage loan
Yeah.
officer, you're an advisor to your client. Maybe you don't sit down there and say, hey, you need to stop drinking Starbucks. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
Hey, let's budget $30 a month for
Yeah.
fun stuff, because. Believe me, if you're a teacher, you need some freaking stress relief.
Yeah. 1,000%.
And if a $7 cup of Starbucks makes you happy, by all means, go
Yeah.
get it. And like really kind of like analyzing again, it goes back to being a actual advisor in
Exactly.
these transactions.
Yeah.
And like, hey, this is what we can do. We can do it this way and not just throw them to the wind. Oh, you want to buy a house? Cool, let's go buy this one.
Yeah. So
Let me fill in the blanks of this form. And that's all I did. And now I want my 3%.
Well,
Yeah.
like one of our old bosses, right, Craig. So he used to. It took me a couple of years to kind of really get my head wrapped around this. So the market like it is today was a lot like it kind of like when you and I first got into this game, was the fact that you could ask for a bunch of stuff from a seller. You were generally going to get it. You could kind of haggle a little bit on price.
Yep.
And you were basically able to get your clients into a house for almost nothing, as long as, depending on their loan, right?
Yeah.
Down payment wise, like that was only the variable there. But for the most part, I mean, they
Right.
can walk in with for next to nothing.
Yeah.
And Greg used to always say too, he's like, I don't think people should buy houses if they have no money. And I'm
Yeah.
gonna be careful about this because I want you to understand what I'm saying. it's not up to me to approve you or tell you yes or no you can buy a house. If the
Right.
loan officer gives you an approval letter and you want to buy a house, let's rock and roll. I'll sell you a house.
Yep.
I was like, but what I'm getting at and what he was saying and what I finally, it took me a few years to kind of get my head wrapped around is it's not about just purchasing the house. Because what happens when you buy a house? It's called cost at that point. Because we talked about it a minute ago or a little bit ago. Is like home ownership costs money.
Yeah, your monthly payment is the minimum you're going to spend on
Right.
a home.
I was like, but things
Yeah,
are
you
going to
got your
break.
maintenance,
You're
yeah.
going to have to buy a lawnmower. That lawnmower takes gas. Like all these different things that people don't like. You don't really
Yeah.
think about it.
Right.
So and also having a savings account of $5,000 that sits in the back because if for whatever crazy thing happens,
Yeah.
you have money to take care of something if something breaks. Because just because you have home insurance or you have a home warranty doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to get fixed tomorrow.
Well, yeah,
You know.
and see, and that's and you know, it brings up a good point. But that's what I tell a lot of clients too, especially the ones that are coming in with, you know, like again, barely getting by, like savings wise or down payment wise. I'm like, guys, I was like, you know, I'm more than happy to help you and more than rock and roll, but understand if something goes wrong in your house and I've completely drained your whole bank account just to get into this house.
Yeah.
Understand you got into your house, which is awesome, and I'm going to high five you because I
Oh,
think it's
yeah.
always awesome, but. I want you to understand that rainy day fund, that thing, like you could go into that house the next day, the same day you move in, and the AC goes out on you for some reason.
Yeah.
You know,
And
and
if you
then
don't have a home warranty on it, then you're paying $9,000.
exactly.
for an
So, and those are the conversations. And, you know, same thing with people like learn to, you know, trying to save money. I always try to, you know, pitch Brandon Murphy, my financial advisor, you know, like, hey man, like maybe chat with somebody like, you know, somebody who can kind of give you some guys, like I can give you some material, some help.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, like if you're serious about it, like let's set up a game plan to kind of get you on a path to like, maybe it takes you a year, you know, maybe it takes you, you know, year and a half, whatever.
And everybody that we end up talking to, you know,
Yeah.
and I tell them straight up from the get go, I was like, it's not that I want to sell you a house the next 30 days. I was like, I would rather it take us a couple months because I would, if you would allow me to, I'd rather kind of get into your life a little bit and we can kind of set up a good plan. So that way, when it is go time, we can maneuver through this, get you into a house, but then you're on a plus side,
Yeah.
right? You're on the positive
Yeah.
note when you go into it versus just scramble. We'll figure it out as we go. And then,
Borrowing
Yeah.
$1,000 from your parents. So
yeah,
you
like I don't want to
Yeah.
do that, and I don't
Yeah.
want you in that position. Now, again,
Yeah.
if time is of the essence because of your PCS in here and all this, like I get all that, I do. But if at all, if there's an option to pregame this, if you will, or at least have
Yeah.
a good plan for like a 90-day out solution,
Yeah.
guys, that's the best way to do this.
And that's
Yeah.
that's what the consumer is looking for in our industry. Like people that real estate agents, mortgage
Yeah.
officers, like
You just need guidance, man. Like
just be a good ambassador of our industry and like advise your clients like, hey, this is like the full process of like
Yeah.
not just a freaking buyer's consultation checklist that says, oh, you know, turn on your utilities and everything like that. Go through the whole process of it for a new home buyer, right?
Yeah.
You know, if they've owned their homes, fine. Let's go. Let's rock and roll. You know, let's,
Yeah,
let's do this. You know this game. We're good. But a new home, brand new first time home buyer, maybe doesn't even realize that, hey, oh crap, yeah, I got to buy a lawnmower when I move into this.
I didn't even think about utilities. You know what I
I
mean?
didn't
Like,
even think
honestly.
about. I didn't even think about buying a lawnmower because you know I bought a house with a big yard.
Yeah,
Do
yeah.
they have $500 to go?
And it's the same thing, you know, when I talk to clients about a pre-approval, I'm like, hey, where do you want your payment to be? Okay, here. Okay, well, I
It's
just want
usually the top, right? Usually
yeah,
that's
yeah.
the
So I'm
most
like,
they can
okay.
afford.
So and I tell them, I was like, okay, like now again, tackle on, you know, maybe a couple $100. You know, let's say 300, 350 for utilities and internet.
Yep.
So I was like, understand, like especially this is your first home.
And then
our,
the little contingency, built a little contingency,
Yep.
like a buffer, just like you do
Yep.
on a rental
Yep.
investment property, right?
Yeah.
Every professional real estate investor always factors in a certain amount every year
Yeah.
into their pro forma
You have
for
to.
repairs.
You have
Yeah.
to, because it's man-made or mechanical or both somehow, right? And so that means it's going
It's
to
an
fail
operating
at some
cost,
point.
Yeah.
You know, for a primary homeowner, that's your maintenance cost, right?
Mm-hmm.
For an investor, that's your operation cost. That's how much it's costing you every year to
Yeah.
operate that
Yeah.
that cash flow and property. So do the same thing on a first-time homebuyer.
Yeah.
Factor, if you are saying, hey, you're pre-approved to $1,500 a month
Yeah.
on their loan,
yeah,
then okay, can I afford $1,600 a month?
Yeah.
Right? Because if you can do that, that's $1,200 a year.
Yeah.
That you've got a contingency plan built in.
yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, but no, I think it's you know, I think we brushed on it last week, but it's just pure education, man. And you know, we say it all the time, man. It's just my industry, y'all's industry. It's it's very the standards are extremely low, and
They are extremely low, and I'm gonna cut you off.
Yeah.
But and I
No,
I,
100% they are.
but I
2 weeks to get your real estate
100%,
license,
100%.
you're out there jacking the largest purchase anybody's ever gonna make up.
100%. And my issue with
20
it
hours
is
free
we
MLO.
we have so many. The problem, I guess, is this that I have is it's not just the bar to entry; it's the bar to sustain, right? To continue.
Yeah.
Because our CEs, you can basically just click through it and never even answer a question correctly, honestly.
Yeah.
And you can just keep going through, right? Now, the other side is we have all these different, what do you call them? Freaking certifications or letters designations. There you go. You can put behind your freaking name. And those are great and all. But if you don't understand the basic concepts
Of investing.
investing
money.
or just literally
Right.
just the big, like you're not doing yourself any favors either, because you're going to lose business on both of our ends if you can't actually just talk like a normal human being to somebody
Yeah.
and try to help them guide through. And then if you do run into somebody who actually knows a little something, you're not going to get them either, because they're going to be like, you're a buffoon.
Yeah, but and it kind of goes to the concept of, I'm not knocking people at like AutoZone or O'Reilly's, but dude, if I need windshield wiper blades, don't ask me if my truck's 2-wheel drive or 4-wheel drive. Don't ask me if it's gas or diesel, bro. Like that plays no factor into what's going to wipe my windshield.
They don't know.
No,
But they're
exactly.
also not in charge of the largest purchase.
Well,
Those
no,
same
no.
people went and got their real estate license 3 months ago. Right.
but no, but that's what I'm saying is like it's those kind of people that unfortunately that's in every market, that it's what puts a bad rep and a bad taste in a lot of people's mouth.
It does, yeah.
Because when you either have a crappy agent or a crappy lender or even
That's always
both.
what it is. Like my
Yeah.
agent was, 90% of the reviews are like, my agent was, crappy
Yeah.
and didn't communicate and,
Yeah. But
shouldn't
see,
have bought this home and all that stuff,
exactly.
right?
And I throw that stat. I think it's like 65 or 68% of Americans, they gripe about the home buying process because, again, it's just the lack of knowledge, transparency, and communication. Like they have a horrible experience. So it does kind of shun away a few people. But and again, it just goes back to, I don't understand like why the standard just can't be raised a lot higher.
Well, I think it's going to be.
Well, well.
I think it's coming down that it's going to be.
I think what happened was, I think a good chunk though is you're starting to see, I'm not trying to knock COVID agents, but the agents that got in during COVID.
Oh yeah.
And then
and that's, it's no fault to them. They just
No.
They thought that's how real estate was.
Exactly.
You walked outside, you made an Instagram post like, "Hey, I'm a realtor," and 17 deals just flew in your face.
Exactly.
Like, what? I mean,
Yeah.
yeah. I loved COVID.
But it goes the same thing for loan
Greatest
officers.
2 years of my real estate career.
It goes the exact same thing for loan officers though, because
we
they're
get another one of those COVIDs come around. That'd be great. But no,
I will forego that.
yeah. But
no, but you're right.
Yeah.
Those agents, right, don't really understand what it's like to have to go out and like generate business,
Yeah.
right? Because it was just so abundance, right?
Yeah.
Now we're in a scarcity market, right?
yeah,
So-
well, and it goes the same thing with LOs. Like loan officers during that whole golden era, most of them who just joined, majority of them did refis because that was the easy apple to grab because it was, and they were like, oh, dude, this is great. And then once the rates went up and that faucet turned off, you're like, oh, dude, I'm not getting any business now. Like, what the hell? And it's just,
You're reacting to business.
Yeah. So like now you actually have to be a loan officer, just like agents. You actually have to be an agent.
Well, and it's
Well,
even not just the lead gen side though. To be honest, though, the issue that we have, like most of the times, I end up doing deals, or there's younger agents that sit down that I'm trying to help out, like even paperwork they're filling out. Like I'm like, I look at it, I'm like, this is all wrong.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
It's because their brokers don't have any clue that they're even probably in their firm. Honestly.
facts, but and you sit down or you try to
Or the
call
broker-
that
the broker
person.
is an avatar that they've never even seen or spoken to.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And then, but they put stuff on there, and a lot of times, like I'll try to call them and be like, "Hey, so you wrote this,
Yeah, no,
you know what I mean?"
I'm
I'm
the
like,
same
I
way.
was
Like,
like,
if I-
I'm just trying to understand because you got to be careful, right? Because you don't want to help out the other side because you don't work for the other side.
Correct.
But
Yeah.
I also need to
Simple-
understand
simple-
what you're saying so I can make sure that I'm educating my party.
Yeah.
Correctly what you're
Yeah.
saying.
Yeah.
And then a lot of times I'll find that they don't even understand what they're saying because, well, that's what I was just told to write. But Do you even understand what this means?
And
You need to go find an adult right now.
Yeah. Well, and you know, we say here like I don't want people to think that you think we know everything, right? And we don't. We're not even close to that.
Right. But
You've
but
got- you've
it's
got a-
the,
you've
but it's
got
the
a
drive to keep learning though.
dumb Marine who ate crayons for 12 years of his life.
God.
You got a guy that I almost joined the Marine Corps, but I joined the Army. And then you got a power lifter. Right? So
all,
on
e-
paper-
all equally dumb. You know,
yeah,
just
on
like,
paper, we're not the smartest people out there. But just like you said, you know,
Yeah.
the data and the knowledge is out there. Like, you know, I'm a big nerd when it comes to the market. So
yeah, exactly.
I drive, you know, my office is in Nashville now, so I got about 45-minute commute every day, right? That I drive down there, and I love it because that's when I make phone calls. That's when I,
Yeah.
you know, catch up on stuff. Or my radio is on Bloomberg or C-SPAN.
Yep.
Because I want to know what's going on with the market.
Yeah.
So for the agents out there and the MLOs, that's a simple way to get all your information in. Like there's so much, they talk about so much stuff. They talk about political, how that affects the market. Because everything comes down and everything affects the real estate
Yeah.
market.
Yeah.
Not just interest rates, right?
Yeah.
So for the consumers out there, if any of them are listening, you know, if you're interviewing agents and you're trying to figure out which is the right one to use, which one's not, you know, just ask them what the last Fed decision was. See what they say.
Nothing.
See,
And
last
if they
Fed.
don't
They're
know
like
that,
Fed?
if there's agents out there that don't know that, well, then this is kind of a wake up call that hey, you should probably be a little bit more in tuned into what's going on because the Fed rate has a direct impact on your business on what they decide. And so for the consumers, just ask your agent, hey, what was the last Fed decision?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's a simple way to determine whether your agent is up to date on the market,
Yeah.
and that they can advise you. So
Yeah, same thing with the mortgage side, man. You know, we have a system
yeah,
called
especially the mortgage. Like, if
Yeah,
your
exactly,
mortgage loan
yeah.
officer doesn't know what the last Fed
Yeah.
decision was.
we do our Friday minute, and me and Brandon give weekly updates. Like typically, like, hey, this is what happened during what the Fed said. Here's where it's at.
Yeah.
Because
Projected.
yeah, here's the projection because it's
That's what it is,
crucial.
by the way, it's a projection. It's
Yeah.
not what's actually going to happen.
No, Langley promised you guys the rates will be down in the
I
threes
did
before by the end of the year. We're gonna be fine.
He said 2% interest rate when we first started.
No
this.
prediction of anything.
Yeah.
Projected.
No, it's funny. I told somebody that yesterday. It was on a TikTok. I posted it, and they said, I told them, like, hey, man, there's no crystal ball. There's never a guarantee. I was like, I can show you everything and give you the facts that's leading up and trending in one direction.
Yeah.
But I was like, literally, it takes a one flick like that, and we're off into a different direction.
Pirates
Yeah.
in the Suez Canal right now that are blocking
Yeah.
transport.
Yeah.
What's that going to do? That's going to route ships around Africa, which is going to increase shipping costs.
Which
What's that
means
gonna
all the
do?
prices go up,
Yep.
which means everything.
Inflation goes back up. So guess
Yep.
what? If inflation goes back up, guess what's the Fed going to do?
Yep.
Raise
Raise,
back.
yep.
So
And that's,
it's
you
not
know-
guaranteed.
Yeah, it's never guaranteed.
It's
no.
like a guy I was talking to the other day on the phone. He was asking about, the guy that we were talking about from Arizona.
Yep.
He was like, well, because I was trying to explain to him kind of the market and the trends and what is sort of expected this year, or what we're expecting this year, I should say.
Yeah.
Right.
And
And
it's
like
all over the place though. It's four rate cuts, 6.
But it is
We're cutting.
100%. And I was like, everybody,
model you look at.
everybody in our industry thinks this year is going to be a pretty good year. Like overall, we think everything's going to. Now let
I
me.
think so too. I mean, I honestly think so. I think
yeah.
at least with my particular business, what I put in place 2023, I think is really going to pay off for 2024.
No. Agreed. Now, and like I told him, I was like, now that's a little bit subjective in a sense because anything compared to 2023 is going to look better, right?
Yeah.
So take that with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
But the reality is, I do think this is going to be a good year.
Yeah.
Now, here's the thing, and I told him, I was like,
Is it going to be a Lambo and Range Rover year?
no, we'll
Like
not.
a Toyota Camry and maybe a nice Ford Explorer.
Yeah. I was like, it's not going to be bad. It's going to be a decent
But
year,
still,
right?
right?
That's
Yeah.
a decent average year. So, but I told
Yeah.
him, I was like, look, man, like again with the crystal ball, like I said to everybody, Amazon's out of crystal balls. They're always out of stock. I can't get one, so I can't tell you what the future is, right? But the reality is, I told him, I was like, I don't know when that switch is going to get flipped, right? Because
But it's going to.
It's going to. I was like, it could be tomorrow. It could be September. I don't know when that's going to happen. If I were to
think-
guess, it's going to be somewhere around probably April, May timeframe. I think is when it's probably
Yeah, I
gonna
think about
hit.
the mid-year, first quarter, going into second quarter. I
I
think
don't think we see a rate drop in the first quarter. Honestly, I don't think we won't see one January, February, or March.
I think the Feds start cutting
think
rates
it's-
in March.
I think it's going to be more of June, right? Because I think the Feds are going to want to see because right now we're in the slow time just across the economy. Christmas is done, holidays done,
Yeah.
retail's down, shipping's down, everything is down right now over the next couple months, right?
I was about to say we got
So,
2 months before anything really starts to pick back up cyclically. Like
March, it might pick back up, and so as far as the housing market goes, it'll pick back up. But as far as the Fed's actually dropping a rate, I think we're looking probably June timeframe.
See-
but I don't, again, it's just a projection.
Yeah, but no, a lot of
I will pull up. I'm on my phone, but I will
Yeah.
pull up my social media post I did 2 years ago. That
Yeah.
I think interest rates would cap at 8% before we see a drop
yeah.
or a pause.
well, you and I were saying that when we were still together. We were like, I bet you $5 it does. They're like, no, I don't think so. And you and I were like, I'm pretty
8%,
sure it
that's what I
will.
projected. About 2.5 years ago, I said, hey, we'll probably see 8% interest rates before
Yeah.
there's a pause or a drop.
Or drop.
Well, and
We
then
capped at what 8.01.
Yeah.
Before they and that's
and again, why though? And I've tried to explain this. I've had this conversation several times when we were
historical
on.
average.
So exactly, right?
7.
So here's the thing, right? So, and if you look at it economically as from a national standpoint,
You can even do a 10-year average. You can
well,
do it,
that's what I'm saying.
do
I
a
was like,
10-year
but
average.
if you look at it from an economical standpoint,
Yep.
they cannot go above that. Otherwise, that's like the tipping point where everything just freaking dies,
Yes.
right? So
Yeah.
they can raise it all the way up to that point, and it'll kind of stay there like an infinity pool. It's there, it's right on the brim, but if you put one more drop, it just starts flooding off the
Yeah.
side.
Well, I think it needs to be said that for the people that are listening or that will listen to this, that the Fed rate is not exact of the interest rates, everybody. So
No, it's an
when you hear
it's
that the Fed
indirect.
rate is at
Dude.
5, that does not mean mortgage rates are going to be
Brother,
at 5.
when the Feds cut the rate to 0, I remember this. My phone blew up so many times that day. Hey, man, does that mean my mortgage rate's going to be 0%? Nope,
No.
click.
No.
Hey, does that mean my mortgage rate's going to be 0%? Nope, click. Hey, man.
I laugh and I'm sorry, but no.
No. It's funny, but like, I just remember that. But
Yeah, Fed rate and mortgage rates are not exactly the same. They affect each other. Well, one affects the other, but
Yes.
not.
Yeah.
If the Fed
Yeah.
rate's at 5, it's not the interest rates are at 5.
yes, but so I use MBS Highway to kind of monitor the bond market and all that. Barry Habib has been a long time, like mortgage analyst and market analyst for a hot minute. But same thing. He said they're projecting anywhere between March and June.
Okay.
Is ideally when they probably anticipate the first rate cut. Obviously, it could be
Once that
sooner.
does, this is what I will say that what my prediction is on that. The moment there is even a 25 or a 50 basis point drop, it is a rally.
Oh,
There's so many stocks that are going to be the stock market's going to rally around that. Businesses are going to increase.
Yep.
I think it's going to be a huge rally, and then it will kind of level off. And then as we start to get more rates, I think the market will stabilize. But
Well-
the moment we see a drop, I think it's good, the possibility.
But see, and that's what happened because November and December, that's when we started seeing really good improvements in rates. And like right now, because again, it's the talk of when everybody's trying to
Well, the
anticipate
market
when.
is priced in the right. The
Yes.
right, rate
Yeah.
rates.
So, right now it's kind of like, it's a little stagnant, like some days we have good days, bad days, but it's just stagnant, right? But I agree. I think, once the slightest improvement that you see is, I truthfully think it's going to be a faucet. Like right now it's been trickling down, right? And I think as soon as that happens, it's going to be the faucet. And once that faucet goes, it's no holds barred, man. Like
Well, and then that's going to
yeah.
go back into, like we said, we've talked about this whole what the market's going to end up doing. And I don't know, obviously, because it's not my market, but your area, like what would you say your duration time is on the market? Being if the floodgates got open, so here in Clarksville, we're probably
what our inventory?
yeah, so we're probably a month and a half. I think we got on the ground here for
Yeah.
Clarksville.
Yeah.
I mean, give or take, it's probably about a month and a half worth of inventory. And what that means for everybody who doesn't understand that is, if basically everybody decided today is go time,
Yeah.
you've got enough houses on the market for the basically next month and a half to sell before you're out of inventory. Now,
Yeah.
that doesn't necessarily mean that people are going to be listing houses. We're looking at what's currently on the market and
Yeah.
what's you can basically purchase or put an offer for today.
Yeah.
So for Nashville, what does
So you'd have to break it down. There's so many sub.
okay? Yeah, I don't know.
There's so
but-
much. It's so big. There's so many different pockets and so many price points.
Yeah, I was like I said, I
there's,
have no idea.
Luxury.
Yeah. No idea about Nashville. But like for us, if that faucet gets turned on, again, it goes back to a month and a half worth of inventory.
Yeah.
And then that's immediately when everything starts getting skyrocketed again. Because again,
All buyers' incentives are gone.
exactly. I was like,
Buyer-
first thing
yep.
goes away is incentives, 100%
Yep.
every time.
Incentives. Then it goes to what inspection? Like, hey, I'm not going to do. I'll waive my inspection. Not a great idea at all. And then after that, it'll be okay. Waive the concessions. Waive the inspection. And then it's like, okay, appraisal gap time. Hey, $5K over, then $10K, and then it just comes a bidding war.
And then that's when the stupid things happen. Like people want to do like crazy escalation clause and stuff, which I mean, it gets
Dude,
You need a place to live. You need a place to live, but just realize that if you pay $30,000 over appraised value, and your appreciation rate, especially in Clarksville, like you said on that, like 3 to 5%, it's going to. And your house is, let's say, $300,000.
yeah.
It's going to take you 20 years to recoup that $30,000 in depreciation.
Exactly right. So and the thing, yeah. So and that's the whole concept, right? And I had this conversation with an agent yesterday, matter of fact, because basically she's got a client they were looking at selling, blah blah blah, and they're upset because they feel like they are upside down. I was like, well.
I've got one of those right now too.
I was like, well, they are, but
came
they're
to me.
not. Okay. I was like, so.
Oh, these ones absolutely are.
So-
Unfortunately, they are.
Oh, these ones are absolutely
these
are.
big sellers that
you look-
used another agent. They bought in, God, I think it was June of last year.
Oh wow.
And
Oh
they-
yeah, they're not even out of the.
Well,
yeah.
and
No.
they paid $10K over asking in June of last year.
For what?
I don't want to get into too much details, so we looked at kind of on the creative. All right, well, let's see what we can do because it's a VA loan. I'm like, let's see if it's assumable. See if we can offload it to an investor.
Yeah, I was like, we gotta see if there's
7.85. They've had
So you
7.85
can't get out of
rates. They paid $10K over appraised price.
They got the raw end of the deal on
Where
that.
was their realtor at on that
I was about to say, never mind. I'm not going to say. I even asked on here.
one? Right. That is a
that-
fault of the realtor on that one. I will
Yeah,
tell you that
I
right
since
now.
we're done with this, I'm actually very curious, like how that, like I don't. Man, that's crazy.
Not with the inventory that was in June. You could have went to multiple other homes.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I tell everybody. And again, I've
That
got plenty of
was
clients.
an agent. I need the sale because I haven't sold anything in 4 months.
And I get, yeah, and
Yeah.
I mean, there's plenty of them out there, and you know, the difference between 2 years ago during the massive COVID rush, right, is different than last year's.
Yeah.
Because I told 100 people last year that I was like, look, man, we just need to go door to door and kick everybody in the nuts until somebody finally caves. I was like, I mean, honestly, like that's we can do that.
Yeah.
Because there's 50 billion houses on the market right now.
And as
We can
fast as
just keep
the
going.
house value was rising, it was okay to spend $10,000 or $15,000 over because it was probably going to appraise more than that.
Exactly, and that's what I was getting back to with that other agent. I was like, I mean, they yes are upside down in their mind, but they're not really necessarily because they might have paid X amount over, but that X amount they paid over, you might as well just lit it on fire because that was just to get you in the house. The appraised value is still the appraised value.
Yeah.
So everything has. It's not about I paid $50,000 or whatever over appraised value. You can't look at that. It's what's the appraised value then versus what it is now.
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
so if they were like, oh, we paid, $400 for this house, but now it only appraises for $385. Okay, cool. What's your loan?
Yeah.
Well, if your loan is only $350 and you owe and it's worth $385, then you're not upside down.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
I mean,
I see what you're saying with that. Yeah, yeah.
I get what
Yeah,
you're.
That was a cost to get in the home.
Exactly. I was
what you
like,
paid.
that's exactly.
That was not an
I was like,
investment.
you
That was
have
a
to.
transactional fee, basically.
Literally, I was like, and it's not like a spin to like, it's not like a, smoke and mirrors thing. I was like, it's not.
You could still sell the house and not have to bring money to the table.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I was like, they're still a qualified seller. They're still,
Yeah.
all the boxes are checked. They can still do it. They're probably not going to make any money out of it.
Yeah.
But they can still leave.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, with these particular, we're going to have to apply for a short sale.
Right.
Unfortunately, because there's no way.
Yeah.
There's no way.
Yeah.
to
Well,
not.
not with a 7.2. Like you can't. Nobody's going to
Yeah.
assume that.
No.
'cause
No.
It won't cash flow at 7.5.
No.
No.
So,
That's bananas.
And you can't get anybody to buy it now because they can all get a 5.5 or 6 anymore. So that's not even in remotely
Yeah.
unfortunately, we're
question.
going to have to go.
And then and not to get on the rabbit hole of assumptions, like there's that was a whole thing this whole year that dude it was bombarded me all year about doing assumptions. I'm like, you guys got to understand there's a gap between what the loan is and what the list price is. Somebody's got to cover the difference.
and seriously, you can't. I would say, you're going to struggle trying to find somebody, a mortgage company, period, to even do that because now you're in the second lien, and it's not like it's not like they're just going to slap two liens on a property.
It's assuming the loan. You take full
Right,
possession. You are
right.
lien on that.
Right? No.
It's subject to.
Well, yeah. So, because what a lot of people think is like you can finance that second portion and put a second mortgage on it, but I'm like, right.
No,
So,
man,
yeah,
because
yeah,
that, because
That's an 820.
exactly.
Well, in
Yeah.
theory, maybe, but then is your debt to income going to be out of whack?
But see, but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. It's like, okay, so like now, like let's say you're financing this $100,000 compared to what they did. Okay, with the rates they are today, wouldn't you be pretty much ideally the same with just buying it outright?
Exactly.
It makes no sense, right?
Buy it outright, buy a bunch
Yeah.
of discount
You,
points.
you,
Yeah.
you
Get it
would
down.
you could probably buy the same house with a higher interest rate and pay less.
But you know what? At the
Because
end
if
of
you're
the
going to
day,
get a private loan for, let's say,
Yeah.
$30,000 or whatever, what's that going to cost you a month? 2-3
but
grand? Like,
it's the same thing though, man. You know, I tell people like with that kind of money, like if you're you got $200K to play with and you want to do an assumption, that's fine if you want to. Like there's no doubt. Like but if your only focus is like I want that.
money to make money.
I agree. I tell everybody that, but
they won't get out of the mindset of what the freaking rate is.
that's it.
I was like,
They-
stop looking at
they're
just
buy-
the freaking rate.
They're buying it
There's more
because
to
of the
it.
rate. That's it. People want to do the assumption because of the rate, and I'm like, guys, if you could just see the overall picture.
I've got some pretty interesting marketing stuff that's going to be rolling out in the next couple months. So be on the look out for that.
Brother, I had a client where she was a VA, wanted to put 100K down. I was like, why do you want to put 100K down? Well, I don't want to pay this much in interest. How long are you going to be in this home for? No more than 3 years.
You're not going to pay any.
So guess what? No. So guess what? So get this kicker, right? I gave her 12 different amortization schedules based on 15-year and 30-year because she wanted to do a 15-year, and I'm like, you're not going to reap the benefit at all. Zero. Which is not
it's
a.
going to cost you
You're giving the
more.
bank back more of its money faster when you do that.
And I told her, and she was like, well, I'm going to walk away with more money when I get ready to
No,
sell. I'm like,
you're not.
you're not. You
You're
just
not-
put
you're
down
not.
this money, and I was like, you're paying more per
Because
month.
the house is going to sell the same price regardless in
Dude.
3 or 5 years, period. It's going to sell for that price.
Dude.
All you did was give the bank more, like you just said, more money
Yeah.
sooner.
Yeah.
Like, that's
And-
freaking
and-
stupid.
And I just look.
If you look at any like major investor like BlackRock and all those large,
Oh, yeah.
asset holding companies,
Leverage, man.
they do not own anything cash outright.
Leverage.
Everything is financed.
It's
Yep.
leveraged.
BlackRock, I think it's like 1.3 trillion in assets they own.
Yeah.
As far as real estate,
Yeah.
everything has a loan on it.
Yep.
Everything has a loan on it, right? Because why would I? This kind of goes back to your big down payments. Like why would I put $100,000
Yeah.
down on a private home,
Yeah.
right? When it's really only going to affect my mortgage payment, maybe $60 to $70.
When I can
a
put
month.
50 down on 2 different houses and buy 2 more houses as rental properties.
Dude.
Or I could
And it makes me
$20
$1,000 a
put my
month.
20% down, then take the 80 and go invest it in something that's going to return me another 8%
That's
on
dude.
top of my.
I gave
Because if my
her.
interest rate on my home is 5%, right? Let's just say 5%.
Yeah.
It's not right now. We're
Yeah.
not 5% yet, guys. So
No, I'm going to pause that clip. I'm going to replay it.
if I can borrow $250,000 at 5%, right,
Right.
to buy a home, and I've got 100K that I could, or 50K, right, that I want to put down on it, which probably would, 50K would be 20%. So yeah, no, those aren't good. Those aren't good numbers.
I was like, that's not a good number.
But if you had a large,
Yeah.
$150,000 down,
Yeah.
you're only going to save a little bit of money per month. Right?
Yeah.
It's the golden rules every 10K is $50.
Yeah.
Well, how many times do we have a conversation with
I
somebody?
do $1,000 is $6. Is that still good at these interest rates?
Good.
That's
Yeah, no,
that's $60 per
yeah.
I was
$10,000.
like, that's pretty close.
That's pretty close.
That's
But it's-
taxes and insurance.
But it's the
too.
same
Yeah,
thing
yeah.
because how many people we run all the time? Like, I want to put this 50K down. I'm like, it's going to change your payment by like not very.
Dude,
It's not.
$7 a month.
Yeah, literally, I was like, it's not really that noticeable.
Yeah.
And they're like, but it's 50K, and I'm like, but it's over the term of 30 years.
Yeah. Now, like,
Put the minimum required down on any home purchase.
Yeah.
Unless you have to put more down to make it affordable, then that's a whole nother.
But that's what-
see,
that's
and
different-
that's what.
different-
Well, see, and that's what I was going to
Minimum
say.
down, get your loan, and then take whatever cash capital funds you have and go invest it into something else.
Yeah.
Because if your interest rate is 5%, and your investment is 8%, well, then there you go. You're making 3% every single month.
Well, yeah. So, but yeah, it goes back to that conversation. Like, you know, I have plenty of clients who do it just for affordability's sake, and that's fine.
Yeah.
You know, like, and that's awesome.
A lot of times people come into cash from inheritance and stuff
Yes,
like that. So
yes.
they have all this influx of capital.
Yes.
They're like, I don't know what to do with it. I don't. Again, it goes back to school because I didn't learn any of that stuff in school. What to do
Yeah.
with $150,000?
Yeah.
So I'm just going to shove it into a primary residence. That's,
Yeah.
But back to that, back to that lady.
Because sorry, I don't mean to, because it's a guaranteed appreciation. It doesn't matter whether you put no money down on a VA or 20% down, 100. You pay 50% down if you wanted to.
appreciate the same.
It's still going to appreciate the same. It doesn't matter.
But that's exactly that's what I said. I was like, this house
Yeah.
is still going to sell the same in 3 or 5 years,
Yeah.
whatever you're going to list it.
Yeah.
It's still going to sell for that price, that market value price, regardless. It doesn't matter
Yeah.
how much you dumped into it.
Right.
The problem though with that lady and you know a bazillion other people that have that same thought process is they're stuck on this idea that if they have either a lower interest rate or they have a 15-year or they have they're putting more money into it faster.
Right.
But you have the key to this, guys, is how long are you gonna keep the house?
Correct.
Yep.
That's the key.
That is the key to the equation because I
Your
can't.
interest rate is insignificant if you're only going to be there 3 to 5
Dude,
years.
if you're only going to be there for 5 years, for guys, we're VA.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Right.
Dude, it does not matter because my house, I'm gonna plan on dying in my house, hopefully, right? So, I mean, I'm a little bit different case, but for the normal dude that I sell, you know, all my friends that come
Right.
to
Unless
buy,
it's your retirement
I'm like,
forever home that
yeah,
you're never moving.
I was like, dude,
Yeah.
hear me out. I was like, you're not even tapping into anything.
Yeah.
It's literally just you're tapping into what the bank's getting their interest out first before you're even getting them for what is 7 years or something like that is
Well,
basically
it's like 30% ratio.
Yeah.
70
yeah.
going
I
from
was
the
like,
30 going to
dude, you're
interest.
not even.
Yeah.
What
Well,
happens when you get your first bank statement at the end of the year? Congratulations, you paid off your house by $180, and you're like, what the fuck? You know what I mean?
But see, it goes back to listen, look, dude.
know.
Like, so some people have asked me, is like, hey, can we go over this amortization schedule? I was like, yeah, absolutely. Why is so much going towards interest? I'm like, and this is during the time
banks make
when
money.
exactly. I was like, and this is the time when the rates were in the twos, and I'm like, because I was like that. I was like,
giving you $500,000.
So,
I want to make sure.
Look, homie, I'm getting my money before you get your asset.
Well,
It's
I have
a-
the same conversation because I'm
Yeah.
a private money lender.
Yeah.
And so when I talk to people and they're like, "Well, you're only doing interest only," I'm like, "Yeah,
exactly.
that's how I make money on the loan. Is it's only a 6-month term. Like I'm not going to
Yeah.
give you $350,000 to rehab a house and
for 3%.
for $6,000. That's a huge risk.
Yeah.
So our rates are 11%,
Yeah.
2 points of origination, and
Yeah.
it's interest only for that 6 months.
Which 11% for an interest only for rehab loans is actually pretty good.
Yeah.
So I don't really think that's anything to complain about.
No.
Yeah. But yeah. But no. So oh shoot, dude, we've been about an hour and a half. That's long.
Really?
Yeah.
Holy crap.
So, all right, well, cool, man. Well, we'll go ahead and wrap it up. But I mean, dude, you're more than welcome to come on the podcast. Like, hopefully, this is all because we had it in this room and it just got too hot.
Yeah.
So now I think we're trying to move it to this room.
Yeah.
Would you ever get a response on our comment?
Probably not.
No, I never got.
But
Make sure we're answering any questions.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, I don't understand. I just don't understand the question. So.
yeah. But I mean, either way, I mean, yeah, man, we're gonna be rocking it out. It's every Wednesday, 1 o'clock. Yep. So we'll have everything set
Appreciate
up.
you guys having me. So.
Yeah, dude.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and then it'll be fun, especially as the market starts shifting.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I think once it starts
Yeah.
kind of evolving a little bit, I think it's going to be a lot more funner conversations. Of
Yeah.
Just trying to figure out what people are doing.
Yeah.
I'm going to start. Matter of fact, at our
Maybe
company.
do one for agents. Like, what can you do to generate business in 2024?
So, and that's something we thought about too. So our company
A
now.
lot of it will flow over to loan officers as well too. I mean,
Yeah.
prospecting, sales is sales, right?
Yep.
It doesn't matter what the product is, right?
Yep.
Whether it's cars, houses, loans, that's what you're doing. You're selling loans.
Yep.
The sales process is all the same. You got to lead generate, you got to nurture, and you got to set appointments.
And
That's
you
it.
got to be knowledgeable.
That's
Yeah.
enough.
Yeah.
Knowledgeable.
Yeah.
Knowledgeable. Yeah.
Well, we're going to start. I'm trying to start here in the next month or two at our new place of business. I'm going to be doing the market masterminds again, like I used to do at the old place.
Okay.
once a month. So that'll be pretty exciting too.
Nice.
So hopefully I can
Are
grab
you
some
gonna get paid for
more.
it this time?
What's that?
Are you gonna get paid for it this time?
Yeah, I think so.
All right, good. Good.
So that I'm really looking forward to that. Those are great conversations because I get to hear from all different types of business.
Yeah.
You know, between young, old, you know,
Yeah.
commercial side, lending. Like it's a good conversation.
It
'Cause
is. I did that about in December. We did our year end, and I went up to Bowling Green with my business partner up there. He asked me to come up. He owns 5 franchises of Caldwell Banker up there in Bowling Green. And he was like, "Hey, can you come talk to my agents up here
Nice.
in Kentucky?" He's like, "Whatever you're doing in Nashville is working."
Yeah.
And so it was great because we had brand new agents that just got the license a week ago in the class.
Nice.
Which is great because they
Yeah.
see things that I don't see. They experience things that I don't
And then we
experience.
had
Yeah.
agents that were 30 plus years in the business, right? And so
a good mix.
It was good to have all those different point of views, and we were talking about stuff, and the 30-year veterans were like, "Hey, have you done this?" It's like, "No, I haven't." "All right, cool, I'm doing that." And then even some of the new people were like, "Hey, we're doing this, and it's working," because, like you said, they're doing stuff that's different, that's working.
Yeah.
You get stuck in your lane sometimes. So,
Hey, so we're gonna end with a funny joke.
okay.
So give me a funny joke.
Give you a funny joke?
Or
is
give
a
them
funny
a
joke.
funny joke.
We have to make a joke?
Yes.
Okay, here you go. 2 pretzels were walking down the road. One was assaulted.
Yes, I like that. That's good. Got not on the spot. I don't know. What is muffin spelled backwards? It's what you want to do to them when you pull them out of the oven. Sniff them.
I don't know.
Now, every time you look at it, you think of
Dad
muffins.
jokes. I was like, I got nothing but dad jokes, guys.
Yeah.
So
I don't really know of any. Okay, well, what do you call a deer with no eyes?
a deer with no eyes.
Yeah. No idea.
And dad joke out.
Yeah, I was like,
Alrighty, so yeah, we'll be back next week. Maybe a different setup if we get everything moved over, but yeah, super excited for it. So
nice.
Thanks, guys.
cool. Thanks, man.